there's just certain people that I root for. Louis Tomlinson is one, and there's the other end of the spectrum, because Louis, obviously, having been in the most, I believe, One Direction are the most successful band of all time, I think, beyond the Beatles. I guess in terms, I'm not saying they're the best band of all time, but they are the most successful. Yeah. And it's like, there's someone who's been on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, but Louis is someone that you'll be in the room with and relate to and want the best for, as much as someone who's never had that level of success. It's all just down to the people. It's like, if you're working with somebody who you genuinely believe in, success is irrelevant. It's utterly irrelevant. In my job, I know, and like you said, being skint is the worst. And I've had it several times in my life. Just before I did Fame Academy, a couple of years after I did Fame Academy. And it's like, when you can't sleep at night, when you're up, and I had this argument on Fame Academy, actually. I think it might have been televised, with a guy that had money. And I found it so condescending when they said money doesn't bring you happiness, and that thing you just said. I was like, it might not bring you happiness, but it erases that thing that I'm dealing with just now, which is absolute anxiety. I don't know what the I'm doing in my life. I can't pay my bills. I can't afford to go for a pint. I can't,
imagine someone like literally now just dropped $1 million in your bank, right? Like who we are, right? Who we are sitting in this room. Someone just dropped £1 million in your bank, right? But like, people always say to me, I say, I'd love that. And they say, no, you wouldn't, because you'd be bored during the day. You wouldn't be working anymore. I said, I'd be working on everything I've ever wanted to work on. I'm not working to like live. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone drops $1 million, go on, drop $1 million in my bank. You drop $1 million in my bank, mate. I'm going out there. I'm doing this podcast. I'm doing my songwriting. I'm releasing music. I'm going on tour. It opens the doors for you. So when 100%. When people have got it all, and there's money don't buy your happiness. It's like
yes,
go and get in the dirt. You
yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, now, like, switch it over and let them come here.
Yeah.
Right. Where are we now? I'm looking at these. You touched on Louis Tomlinson there. So working with someone in that world of that Beatlemania-esque stuff. I mean, do you get wrapped up in that? Because like the fans come at you and ask, how was this written? Are you seeing Louis Tomlinson today? Is it like you get all that? Yeah.
I mean, again, with social media, like I'm on Instagram, sort of like sometimes reluctantly, to be fair. Like it was actually my management in 2018 who were like, you've been gone a long time now. I think you can do like tiny wee bits. So I think, but then, what it does do, it does open, social media's got a lot of, in my opinion, it's the cause of a lot of the world's problems, but it does open the world to you. And when I first started working with Louis, you get an idea about those fans, and it is Beatlemania. It's insane, the level of dedication that those people have got to all 5 of those boys. 4 now, tragedy. It's a real level of dedication to who they are. What's funny then is that beyond that, when you get to know somebody like Louis, particularly, who's the one that I know anyway, I don't know about the other boys, but Louis, he's been able to navigate that in a way that I admire so much, because I didn't have half what they had in terms of fame, and I couldn't cope with it. Louis, just like, honestly, watching him, the way it just sort of bounces off him, and the way
Keanu Reeves it almost.
It's brilliant to watch. Like, I do wish I could have been a little more like that. But he just like takes it in his stride. The like some of the stuff. There's a song on his last record. We're in the middle of doing his new one, but on his last record, there's a song called, it's one of my favourite titles. It's called She Is Beauty, We Are World Class, right? And we were on the train on the way to work with him, and I went into the toilet on the train, and it was graffiti on the wall. Someone had written She Is Beauty, and next to it, I don't know if it was the same person or somebody else had written We Are World Class. I was like, that's cool, and I took a picture of it and back to my mate Theo, who I was writing with, and we were like, that's a song title, that's like something.
That is class.
What's interesting is the pictures on my Instagram, and after the album came out, the fans are like, oh my God, tell us like a bit. It's like, well, it was, to be honest, it was just in a pisser. There's not really, there's not much to tell.
I was having a
yeah. But yeah,
mate.
the level of attention that people like that get at that level of fame. Some people, I guess, will be deeply affected by it. But I really respect the people who are able to just go, what? Yeah, whatever.
Well, that's what I mean by like Keanu Reeves, because I mean he jumps on a train and it's like everyone's just looking at him, but he just sort of zones out and it's like on the phone and nothing. Like nobody looks at it. He gets like the bus. He gets like he walks. He just talks to everybody. You know,
Yeah.
like someone I know, Georgie's uncle. I'm sure this is right. Keanu Reeves was working on set. He's a fire marshal and all that, so he does all the safety on sets. And like they'll have celebrities that walk on at like they'll tell them, do not talk to Tom Cruise today or whatever. Do not talk to these guys. Keanu Reeves is just like waltzing around, mingling with like someone's nan who's come back to visit, and I think that's about keeping it real, right? Yeah. So if you're a real person, like it's the age old thing. Like your mum and dad always say, always keep your feet on the ground, no matter how big you get, like however it happens. That's why I've never wanted elocution lessons or anything like that, you know, even though you might sound like complete shit to someone. But it is a thing, right, of just keeping really grounded. And if someone can do that, then...
I think that if you can do that, you'll be better for it. I think there are some people where maybe... I'm not talking about the likes of Tom Cruise. I don't know what that level of success is like. But there will be some people where maybe the sort of... I guess the standoffish nature of their life could just easily be a defense mechanism. Because I've also met people, obviously I'm not going to name names, but I've met some folk who are incredibly famous who don't enjoy. Well, I guess I'm a bit like that. I didn't enjoy the attention. Now I would never have. I've got time for everybody, so I would always have said hello to folk or whatever. But I guess there are times where you yourself are dealing with things on a level. It could even be like feeling like a total fraud. It could be whatever it is that you don't feel comfortable with. Acting's different because you're on a set. You got to talk to people. But I get it with the fame. There will be certain people who are just like, it might seem standoffish, but they might inside just be going, don't talk to me, don't talk to me, because they're anxious about it.
Yeah. I mean, I get anxious like going to a pub and a club and singing, and it's like, I know everyone's going to be pissed. What you're singing, and and it's like, well, you just got to name 60 songs, and it's like, yeah, but can you do Britney Spears? And it's just like, you just have to stand in front of these people and for like 3 hours, 4 hours.
It's a lot.
You're
giving a lot of yourself,
and that's not even fame. That's just that's just because you are the person projecting a voice with a microphone. So you can understand it. I mean, if you don't want people like, you know, you walk in. I'm about to be a dad, so like. If I was ever to get to a magnitude level, which crow on the roof, good name for a title. But like you get to that level, and I suppose you're walking around with your daughter or your son, and then it's like, oh mate, I love what you do. Like, I had my, made love to the first time to your song and stuff like this. Yeah. And it's like a bit like I'm out with my kid, man. Like, can you back off a bit? I suppose that's a bit. I still get the thing. There's also certain things that make me feel uncomfortable, like from the famous times. Like I don't stuff like that. I'm fine with. Like it happens to me rarely now because it's been such a long time. Scotland still happens a fair bit, but like every now and again, I'll be on the tube and I'll see somebody like trying. It's so funny when people think they can't see you take a picture. It's like you've got your flash on, mate. But there's stuff like that, or like. In where I live now, this little village, someone came into Starbucks and I could see them staring at me, and I was like, this is weird because it's never happened here before. And this woman came over, she went, I voted for you. It's sweet. That sort of stuff is really nice. The other thing I get that I'm a little uncomfortable with, and it's not because I don't appreciate why I'm being asked, it's because I don't feel I don't feel educated enough to give a good answer. I get quite often on Instagram, I get DMs with like, hey, my son is a singer, or my son is or my daughter's now in this course. You got a lot of courses now for, I guess, popular music writing and production. What advice have you got? And it can be quite like full on. Like, give me advice. Tell me what my daughter should do, my son should do. And I find it hard to go back and go, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can tell you my story,
Yeah.
and if you want to take anything from it, you can. But to actually say, if you right now could make the same decisions I've made over a 20-year period and be in an entirely different place to where I am, because luck plays such a gigantic part in what we all do, I guess, if you're in any form of entertainment industry.
Right time, right moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And so it's like when I get that thing about give me advice, I feel a little like, and that's the other thing sometimes I've noticed is like, if I say, I don't feel comfortable doing that or whatever, now people can quickly turn.
Yeah.
We're just like, I just don't want to tell you the wrong thing. But it's quite I guess, look, I get it. Everybody who has any interest in entertainment, whatever that is, football, any sort of fucking sport, let's be honest, athletics, music, acting, film, TV, it's all entertainment. There's going to be a billion people who want to do what you do.
Yeah.
And maybe not understand how to get there or why. Don't get me wrong, I've met 100,000 people who are better than me, and they will be looking at me going, how the are you the one doing it? It's like, I don't know the answer to that. I've been lucky. And while the only thing I will say is that since I decided not to be famous, I've always been really strict on my choices with what I do in music. I make real, I think about stuff, and not just in terms of like over the years I've been offered, name a TV show and I've been offered it. You know what I mean? Like it's mad.
Love Island.
Like all that stuff. Honestly, it's wild. I got like the one that cracked me up. Someone asked me if I wanted to do that, the ice dancing thing. I was like, I'll kill myself.
Dancing on ice.
I will actually die trying to do that. But it's my choice is where I'm not going to do that type of thing. I'm not going to do interviews. I'm okay with it now, funnily enough. I'm getting better at it. But
You're
up until
doing all right, mate. You're doing all right.
Really
up
good.
until 2020, I didn't do it. And now, and within music, my choices were just like what I'm working on, believe in what I'm working on, and then nothing else beyond that really matters.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I think. If any, I don't even think it's advice. It's just trusting your own choices. For me, that's made such a big difference to my music career.
So what's your current stance on the music industry?
How long you got? What time are we on?
Go as long as you want.
As long as you want. Go as long as you want.
So, it's never been wealthier. Music industry has never had more money than it's got at the moment, right?
Because of what?
Because of the structure of payment in streaming.
Okay.
However, the money has never gone less fairly to the creatives. So that's the fundamental number one problem, right? The money is going in one space.
Yeah.
I think that there's so many ways now to get music out into the world. Now that is brilliant in some ways because there are some artists who record labels would never go near. They would it's almost, I guess, maybe doing TikTok, etc. does what Fame Academy now did for me, you know, on a massive global scale.
Huge.
So where I was like, well, I just want to find a record label or I just want to find an audience. That's what TikTok is doing now. At the same time, because there's so much of it, I can't help but feel like the standard has dropped. And I feel like even in this country, historically, we were game changers. Like when you look at like how tiny the UK is, how tiny our island is, and you look at some of the artists that have come out of this country historically, it's unbelievable actually when you look at it. But I think that there's maybe now, when you look at the biggest art, I think the biggest pop star in the world at the moment is probably Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
There has never been anyone more vanilla. There has never been anybody less likely to upset or offend. Whereas when I was growing up, my heroes and pop stars were all it was like people who were all a bit like they were in the arts because they had to be. Yeah. Like they weren't scared of offending. They weren't scared of writing songs that were deeply, deeply personal, sometimes troubling. But that was just because they were the sort of people that put everything into the creative outpouring. They were mysterious. Almost like when I look at Bowie, Elton, like Madonna, like even Oasis, who are mental. Like, they were otherworldly. They were like, there's two lads from Manchester who were as working class as you could possibly imagine. And yet, to me, like as a, what age would I have been? Like 12, 13-year-old, they were otherworldly. They were like this other. I think what's happened now is that you can't necessarily be that. You've got to be likable. You've got to be polite. You can't rock the boat. You can't say anything that people don't want to hear. And don't get me wrong, on one hand, that's good. Like, you do want to evolve socially from where we were. But at the same time, I've got a feeling that in art, some of the best stuff has come from controversy, or it's come from just people being wired a bit differently, you know what I mean? And I do feel like at the moment, there's not the desire to get an artist who's like that. There's a desire to get Taylor Swift. And that's not to say she doesn't have good songs. She does have good songs, but she's not the best. She's not the best songwriter of all time. Let's be honest. She's just not. So I think that, again, it's why, for me, I just try to work with people that I like, because that's all I can control. Beyond that, you'd go mad, I think, trying to figure out how to, I don't know, I don't even know what the expression is, make music like
real again,
worldwide. Like, you can't do that.
Well, you'd be telling me to lose 3 stone before I walked in the door. But like, on that matter then, like, I believe, sort of going on what you've said in terms of you've got to be likable, you've got to have a look, you've got to be all these things. There's also, and we've had this conversation off air before, about music's getting real again. Kids are picking up guitars again. And there's 2 questions in one I sort of want to ask you, right? So with these kids that are picking up guitars again and writing real music and getting angry at social media and stuff like that, writing for them, you would enjoy writing for them, but also AI on the rise, something that is Terminator based. Like, I remember you showed me the Oasis album. So Oasis album, and it was like, this is actually really good. So the idea of that was that a guy wrote it all the parts, but then just put it in a computer and said, sing like Liam and Noel, and then play it like Oasis. So is that how it worked?
Yeah, but do you know what's interesting about that? I think we might have talked about this at the time.